Okay, so I'm very pleased to welcome our second speaker, Noel Miller, who will be speaking to us today about shock, spectacle and sharing from Analogue to Web 2.0, how horror pioneered participatory and viral film marketing.
Thank you very much. So hi everyone, my name is Noel. I'm currently working on a book entitled Film Marketing in Context, Historical Perspectives and Contemporary Strategies. However, as someone who was a professional marketer for over 15 years, I kind of hate that title, so I'm hoping to convince the publisher to go with something much sexier when it's finally done. But as that title suggests, my area of interest is the history of film marketing, its evolution decade by decade, and how it has changed with society, changed with technology, and in reflection of audience behaviours. So today I'll be arguing that what we often call innovation in film marketing is frequently just the adaptation of already established techniques. In particular, I'll be talking about how horror film has always understood the importance of virality, how film marketers have utilised young people as a source of amplification, and the importance of alignment between film marketing and film product. So one of the most sought after commodities in modern professional marketing is virality. So since the birth of Web 2.0 in the mid-2000s, which prioritised audience engagement over passive consumption, marketers have sought to weaponise virality for product awareness, brand amplification, and the pursuit of relevance. However, as a strategy, virality is unpredictable, unreliable, and often misunderstood, with marketers too often focusing on likes and shares rather than the real engine of success, which is participation. And while digital platforms have given structure, language, and measurement to the dynamics of participation and virality, their interdependence long predates Web 2.0. So whether or not audiences ran screaming from the auditorium during early screenings of the Lumiere's Arrival of a Train in 1896 has been debated by film historians for decades. But from a marketing perspective, it's almost beside the point. What matters most in that context is that the story persists. The virality of that moment, whether hyperbolic or not, secured the film's notoriety and enduring cultural significance, arguably more so than any other the Lumieres produced. What we remember is less the film, but more the participatory legend that comes with it. A proto-viral moment that generated organic word of mouth, even with no one there to measure the engagement metrics. So, I've put probably a lot of people here, but I'm going to say some people here. I grew up in the 1980s, which was a time when movie marketing was not known for its subtlety. It was a time where social media didn't exist and content was still known as film and TV. Instead of wasting hours scrolling Instagram, my free time was wasted here, Video World in Swinton, scrolling the videotapes on the shelves and issuing my subsequent likes and dislikes in the viral networks of the school playground. So back then, lurid artwork and evocative taglines were an absolute necessity, even when the film product itself could never truly live up to the expectations of its promotional materials. So one extreme example of this would be ETN, the extraterrestrial nasty, which obviously bastardised the artwork from Spielberg's 1982 blockbuster, but actually turned out to be a repackaged version of a very poorly lit 1967 B movie called Night Fright. You can imagine the disappointment. From a marketing perspective, though, all these films do what they intended to do. They promise something shocking, disgusting, or forbidden that's designed to provoke a shareable reaction. In my case, engaging with this marketing collateral across the video store shelves gave me opportunity to spread my emotional responses among my network. That in turn extended the notoriety and reputation of the product, while also boosting my own. So crucially then, the value here lies not in the quality of the film necessarily, but in young audiences' willingness to engage with the marketing, to seem knowledgeable about the film or to be part of the story. And this is reflected in research following a 1983 government survey which claimed that 4 in 10 children aged 6 to 12 years old had seen films that were on a list of so-called video nasties. A subsequent study by Professor Guy Cumberbatch replaced those titles that were used in that survey with entirely fictional ones, and yet produced very similar results, with children recalling detailed scenes from films that simply did not exist. And what that kind of suggests is that young audiences are not only a powerful source of amplification, but they can be relied upon to carry that brand message, even without direct experience of the actual product. So in his model for digital marketing virality, Jonah Berger identifies social currency and emotional response among the key drivers for online sharing. So where young audiences may be drawn to horror marketing because of the social currency it affords, the benefit for marketers comes with that same audience's tendency to exaggerate their emotional responses. Where material is funny, frightening, or shocking, those qualities are amplified in the act of sharing, making young people valuable carriers for potential virality, or in marketing terms, effective brand advocates. I know, yuck. The Blair Witch Project from 1999 is, of course, often cited as a pioneer in online virality. But much of the campaign uses well-established marketing techniques. So by engaging with online teen forums, Artisan Entertainment was identifying and targeting its most likely brand advocates, much like any conventional product marketing campaign or strategy. By spreading rumours that the film was somehow real, it was tapping into teenage audiences' hunger for authenticity, the same kind of techniques that were used to market films like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. By using copy that was blunt and informative, it was adapting a brand tone of voice that could reinforce that messaging. But what truly makes Blair Witch Project effective is not just the deployment of established concepts across new digital platforms, but the symbiotic relationship that exists between the film product and its marketing collateral. As a film that is obviously not shot in a traditional studio style, it is able to present more effectively as authentic in its marketing, allowing the illusion to be sustained more easily and the message to be carried forward for longer. So Blair Witch then is a moment of innovation, but a moment of innovation that relies on the platforms of the day as well as how audiences were using them. So through the late 1990s and early 2000s, platforms like Classmates, 6 Degrees, AOL Messenger, LinkedIn and early Facebook were primarily about connecting with real-world networks and sharing information. And Blair Witch fits very neatly into that space, presenting its story of missing students and local folklore in a way that mirrors what a concerned post might look like that would be shared across those networks. In the mid-2000s and early 2010s, new platforms emerge that encourage consumers to instead turn the camera back on themselves, with participation becoming less about connection and more about identity. This allows for successful campaigns for films like 2010's The Last Exorcism on Chat Roulette, which is, for anyone who doesn't remember it, a platform where users are randomly connected via webcam to strangers around the world. And what that campaign did was place an attractive actress into these chats, capturing the reactions of real chat roulette users as she revealed herself to be demonically possessed. In the last decade, of course, the rise of TikTok has evolved identity into influence and more active participation in trends. So what better time to introduce a new horror villain who can embody that, a preteen girl who is quite literally terminally online. So on October 11th, 2022, after a few brief teasers, Universal Pictures introduced Megan, or Mithrigan if you prefer, to the world in her first 2-minute, 27-second trailer. In addition to establishing a clear visual identity and core idea for the film, 3 clips were included of, I'm going to call her Megan because it's easier, Megan performing what would later be dubbed by the public, not the studio, the Megan dance, or the hashtag Megan dance. Totaling just 5 seconds, or 3.4% of the trailer, the dance quickly became the main thing that people were talking about. So, of course, in trailer 2, the duration of the dance sequence was stretched out to 8 seconds. Outside of the official trailer and its subsequent, possibly accidental virality, Universal was also being praised for its effective social media strategy, which put Megan in direct communication with her audience. In addition to sharing clips of the trailer of the dance, Megan was able to get into Twitter arguments with her peers, Chucky from Child's Play, take part in influencer trends, and respond to trolls with sarcastic pop culture gifs. A sharp-tongued preteen girl with a bad attitude and integrated Wi-Fi, Megan was perfectly aligned with the core social media channels that were driving the film's marketing campaign. Where things truly come full circle, though, is in the run-up to the sequel that came 2 years later. I wish I had time to go into the absolute deluge of content that came out in this time, but I really don't. But social media by this point had given Universal an active online brand persona that could keep the franchise and its audience warm between releases. However, with every post, with every meme, every trend, stunt, collab, and piece of fan engagement that was being shared across Megan's socials, the boundary between film marketing and film product begins to dissolve. And so, by the time the trailer for the second film arrived, Megan's constructed digital identity, as established via the marketing, was informing the direction of the film product. So on February 4th, 2025, the first piece of marketing for Megan 2.0 arrived, a 45-second trailer with over 11 seconds, almost a quarter of the runtime, devoted to a stylistic recreation of the now viral Megan dance. This was followed on April 3rd by a full trailer, which was littered with catchphrases, quips, and memeable moments, clearly designed to be carved up for short-form sharing. Among these was a moment in which a fully grown man, framed as an obsessed, terminally online fan, forgives the character's previous sins in the last film and declares her a smoking hot warrior princess. What emerges is a fully symbiotic relationship between marketing and product, one that appears to have reshaped the film's tone entirely, shifting it from horror into action and driven by the strength of the persona that had been created. Ultimately, Megan 2.0 did underperform at the box office, and the social media accounts have quietened down, suggesting that a third film isn't happening any particular time soon. But as an exercise in brand marketing, the digital campaigns supporting those two films were a clear success. Yes, in terms of likes and shares, but more importantly, in the way that they allowed the films to exist as a cultural moment and generate a wider conversation. Of course, Megan was tailor-made for platforms that reward terminally online teenage girls and AI bots, because she's both those things. But by capitalising on a meme and cultivating parasocial relationships, the campaigns created a persona that audiences could engage with, reshape, and ultimately co-author. This kind of signals a shift in how horror operates within participatory online culture. So virality may no longer simply be a promotional tool, but a shaping force, one where audience participation has the power to collapse the boundary between film marketing and film product. Thank you very much.